fundamentally, when you get down to what was wrong with the campaign, was there was a complete lack of policy. And my heart breaks for a lot of my friends who lost their seats on Saturday night and our really hardworking candidates who weren't successful. But I have been hearing consistently, both during the campaign and after, since I've been talking to people, that they just didn't have anything to sell. There was just a complete lack, particularly of an economic narrative. There was no tax plan, and the ability to actually go out and talk about a positive plan for Australia's future just was lacking, and I think that was reflected in the numbers.
Do you think we were seeing policy on the run as well, work from home, for example?
Look, and there was policies that shadow ministers were learning about during press conferences that had not been discussed with them. So I really don't know what was going on at the senior levels of those of the people that were supposed to be putting together the policy, because it certainly wasn't filtering down to other members of the parliamentary team, and they just didn't have anything out there to sell. But as well as that, there was more mud being slung in this election than I've ever seen, and there was nothing being done to combat that. There were people that just were MIA, and I just, don't think that there was enough being done to combat the Albanese narrative. We're in a cost of living crisis. We know that this government wants to bring in unrealised gains taxes and put capital gains tax on the family home, and yet people just had no clue that that was part of this plan.
Mm-hmm. And so is that colleagues that you're referring to that were missing in action? Can you say who that was?
Absolutely. I mean, look, part of that as well, though, there was muzzling of a lot of people by the campaign unit. They didn't want people out there. They tried to turn it into a presidential style campaign with just Peter Dutton at the front and centre. And I think whoever was making those decisions probably needs to have a good hard look at whether or not that was the right move to make. There were certain shadow ministers that were encouraged to be polite, not to be out there speaking. So, there's a lot of soul-searching that needs to be done. The campaign was poorly run. I think when you are dumbing down economic narrative with things like Muppet memes, this was a really serious election, and there was no messaging coming through.
So the campaign manager, strategists, they will take responsibility there. We heard Peter Dutton on Saturday night saying he takes responsibility for this. Yep. Where else do you think this responsibility lies within the party?
Look, I've been out publicly on what I think about our shadow treasurer. I think the fact that the economic narrative was just completely non-existent. I'm not quite sure what he's been doing for 3 years. There was no tax plan. I think the economic team has significantly let down the parliamentary team. It's let down our membership, it's let down our supporters, and it's let down people in Australia more broadly. The fact that they had nothing to sell, nothing to say, and clearly had not done the work that was required.
And Senator Hughes, you've given your candid assessment of Angus Taylor, but nonetheless he is a front runner to take the leadership now. Who do you think will next lead the party, and who do you think should?
Well, as I said, I'm very, very clear my support will not be going behind Angus Taylor. Look, we haven't seen anyone put their hand up yet, but as I said, I'm very pleased that Susan has stood up in the acting leader role. She's done a fantastic job over the past 3 years, and I'm hopeful that she will definitely still be part of our leadership team.
Outgoing New South Wales Liberal Senator Hollie Hughes, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Gemma.